In this video, I'm going to cover a few endgame things in RuneScape Classic with regards to thieving and my methods and how I do things. Everything from knights, paladins, gnomes, watchmen, heroes, Salarin the Twisted and his sinister key drop rate, and what I like to call his patented shit buff. The methods that I use and how they can be used by you to your advantage. It's just my way of doing things. So this is not a guide by any means. Now I'm only going to talk level like 60 to 99 in that range, and it's not a guide, like I said. It's just my observations and the path that I took. So to start, say you're mid-60s thieving. You've thieved warriors, guards, looted chests, pickpocketed knights, rogues, stalls, etc., etc. I would say mid-60s to 70s are really pretty grindy, and one can choose several different paths to get to 70 when paladins are eventually unlocked. Myself, I chose to switch between knights in Ardone and Yanil Watchmen in the late 60s before going to paladins. Watchmen in the high 60s are really not that bad. I also went back to Watchmen and Knights several times in the 70s just for a change of scenery, and also the rate of failure on Paladins, it's just rough at first. So here's a table showing my experience rates between both Knights and Paladins, and I believe this is like level 70 thieving, or excuse me, 76. So this just shows the experience rates between the two and what I was getting at that time. The wiki will tell you that you should get like A, B, or C, and at a particular level, and these are just my documented figures that suggest a little bit lower of a number at times, sometimes a little bit higher of a number compared to the wiki. And you know, it's just a difference of what the wiki says and what you get in reality. So it was one thing that I felt the need to document at that time because I was a little bit unclear. So White Knights in Ardone, they get you there the quickest, I believe. But Watchmen are also a good road to take to 70. And also sprinkling them in throughout your 70s. It can be a viable alternative. In thieving, you are playing a game of what benefits you as far as XP rates go, as well as maintaining your sanity by changing the scenery if you're like anything like me. The skill just burns you out, and it's best to like pace yourself as you go along. Once you get to 80, 81, Paladin fail rates drop significantly, and the experience rate goes up dramatically. It's a good thing because from level 80 to 90, their grind really sets in. During my time thieving paladins, I netted almost somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 chaos runes. You can either use these to up your magic or create a tank mage who, you know, breaks the internet with his popular viral videos, or you could just sell them. And I'm thinking like 250, 300. It depends. Either way, it's beneficial to thieve paladins more than anything in the 80s. And also, I just wanted to add, because I've seen this before and wondered just what in the fuck people are thinking. Thieve unarmed. Do not wield a dragon battleaxe and clanks and a dragon ammy and slay your target every 20 seconds unless you're super high level and trying to get combat experience at the same time, I guess. Either way, it's just dumb to me, that approach, and I felt like I had to add that because I have seen it so, multiple times. I just wonder why people do it. I always wore just, you know, full rune kite, dragon medium. And I also went as far as to wear the gnome amulet of protection. So my defense was somewhere around 230 while thieving, and in turn I used less food while doing so. And I flip-flopped throughout the 80s on a lot of paladins, but sometimes I would go thieve gnomes and gnome childs in the gnome stronghold. I mean, it's not really a bad option. They yield less valuable items, but give way more gold and gold ore. Again, I would only recommend a gnome if you are like sick to death of looking at paladins in the Ardougne Castle, just like I was. Also, if you love the swamp toad sprite as much as I do, yeah. King worms are food, but they're basically only used for gnome cooking and heal just 2 hits, so it's not worth it doing it for that. They yield earth runes, and they're just generally pretty useless anyway. I mean, you can get those from a shop. But after that long grind in 80s thieving levels, at 90 I went to the hero in Ardougne. There are several reasons for thieving the hero. Some of you may even want to go thieve the hero at like level 80 when you first unlock it. It would be a long road filled with a lot of failing, but I'm sure you'd make a lot more money from it. So here are my reasons for ignoring the wiki guide and getting to 99 on paladins. Number 1, they offer the most experience at 90 to 99 thieving. 2, you get fire orbs, which can be attached to a fire battlestaff. That will give you 125 crafting per staff. That battlestaff can then be high out for 9,300 GP. So you buy a battlestaff for 7k from like Zaf Staffs or the Magic Guild. You attach the fire orb to it, and voila, you've made 2,300 per staff. And then you begin to see some serious money in return for your effort. So yeah, big. That's number 2, and that's a big one. Number 3, heroes yield blood runes and death runes. Not an insane amount, but any of these will pay off for you in the long run. In vanilla, blood runes go for like 1k per. Death runes might be up there too, like 800 to 1,000. I haven't checked recently. But money. If you're not going to use them, mo money. Number 4, the hero also gives gold ore and coins, of course. So if gold ore is something that you're looking for, it's a smart move. Number 5, they also yield diamonds. Stacking diamonds is a good thing to do if you plan on venturing 270 crafting or further, as you can make them into amulets. You can turn your pile of diamonds into amulets. If not, you could always high out the diamonds. What are they again? 1,200 per? I mean, it's not what I would choose to do, but I'm sure people have done it. It's your choice. That's the beauty of the game. My approach to thieving the hero is simply this. Start at Salarin the Twisted in the Unil dungeon. He can be unlocked by obtaining 67 agility or 82 thieving, I believe. I'm doing this by memory. Okay, so you enter the back door with a lockpick, or you can use agility on the rope swing, which you will fail a ton at 67. So, of course, I just take out the lockpick and enter the back door. That's what she said. Attack him once, retreat. He will lower all of your combat stats except for defense, and you will have the perfect shit buff. This shit buff that you use, we'll just call it that, it will be for keeping the hero alive as long as possible. So as soon as you get your shit buff from Salarin the Twisted, teleport to Ardougne, draw the hero into a small room north of the bank and keep him contained. I usually just used airstrike on him, and it's the key to keeping him alive. Use low strikes, lower your attack and your strength. There's only one hero in the game, and you got to protect your target and do what you can to keep him alive. I probably go to the extreme, and most people just drink wine. I do that too, so using this method plus drinking wine while thieving, I've seen the hero last as long as 2 hours at 93 combat. So high 70s attack, strength, defense hits. The hero fatigues you by, I would say, maybe 6% each successful thieving attempt, giving you only 16 or 17 chances before you need to rest again. So this is Probably the only downside other than that Zenesha, constantly getting in your way. I mean, you'll learn to live with it at some point, or you'll continue to be highly annoyed by your presence. Move, bitch, get out the way. We touched on Salarin the Twisted, and I figured it would only be wise to give my statistics on Salarin. That dumb little ginger who never drops a key. So Salarin can only be killed with strike spells. Therefore, you need gobs of mind runes and gobs of patience. You got to kill him in order to obtain the sinister key. So I averaged an hour and 31 minutes between 3 separate attempts. And also, I don't know why, but there was a 4th attempt that I didn't mark down for some reason. And that was, I remember it. This was almost like last fall, but it was 1 hour exactly. So that would bring the rate down to about 70%. Yeah, out of 4 attempts. So if you were wondering, no, he does not drop the key every time. I recorded 1 in 70 out of my 4 attempts just because who has the time to do it again? So once he drops the key, you go down, you use the key on the chest, voila, an assortment of herbs, and most importantly, Torstol. Torstol with Jangerberries gives you the potion of Zamorak. So at 78 herb law, this is excruciatingly painful method that I just laid before you, is the only way of obtaining that potion other than by trade. So that potion should be worth like 500,000 in my honest opinion. Maybe even more, considering the skills that it takes just to get in the room. And then the time it takes to kill Salarin 70 times just to obtain 1 key. I don't know if his drop rates vary from server to server, but in vanilla, it is downright atrocious. Wiki states like 1 in 13 drop ratio, and we don't even come close in vanilla. We're not even in the same universe. Yeah, so we touched on a little bit of everything: thieving, crafting, endgame NPCs and their use cases, my disdain for their drop rates, the path that I took, and the items involved. Hopefully this helps somebody out. Somebody out there, maybe they needed this. I don't know. I looked at the wiki every time I needed help, and sometimes I completely disagreed with what it told me and found my own way and asked other people what they were doing and observed. Maybe, hell, someday, maybe even the wiki won't exist, but only on archive.org, and people may not have the resource that I had. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions or would like to add to what I've talked about in this video, be sure to leave a comment, and I will get back to you when I see them. Thanks.